The 19th of June 1944. 400 Japanese warplanes took off before sunrise, but as the hours ticked by, almost none of them returned. No one on the ground saw wreckage. No one heard explosions. It was as if the sky itself swallowed them whole. In the Pacific, people stared at empty runways and silent radios, asking the same question: what happened to all those planes? The Japanese believed this was the day they would crush the Americans with the biggest air attack in years. On every radar screen, dots piled up in perfect lines. Fighters, bombers, torpedo planes, wave after wave, ready to flood the American fleet. But something no one expected was about to unfold. The entire balance of the Pacific War was about to shift in a single morning. On the American side, Task Force 58 was already awake. Carriers stretched in a silent arc across the waves. Before sunrise, Hellcats lifted off in clean pairs, climbing one above the other 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 feet. Every pilot remembered the rule: strike once from above, keep your speed, climb away, never turn with a zero. The first Japanese wave crossed open water, tight and disciplined. Veterans led up front, but behind them, teenagers with barely 50 hours in a cockpit. They had been told that courage wins battles. They were never told that courage breaks when the numbers are wrong. Inside the American radar rooms, red lights glowed. Controllers slid tokens. Pilots received quick vectors. Fighter sections swapped in and out like a perfect machine. No secret trick, just altitude, timing, fuel, and discipline. The Hellcat wasn't a miracle, just a brawler. 6 50 caliber guns, armored glass, an engine that kept climbing, even with damage. Built to survive and built to kill. Contact began just above the sun line. Hellcats dropped in from above, short bursts, then straight back up. The pattern was ironclad. Never chase a turn. Never let yourself get dragged low. Always leave with energy in the bank. Down below, Japanese torpedo planes crawled toward the fleet and slammed into a wall of gunfire. Most never even reached their targets. Some bombs cooked off in midair, painting smoke ropes that scarred the morning sky. Back in the Japanese radar room, screens thinned out. Operators reacquired blips, then lost them, again and again. The tracks didn't run, they didn't scatter, they just stopped coming back. Someone tapped the glass and blamed dust. Someone else shook their head. The equipment was fine. The second wave approached, but the sky was already full of burning planes and falling shadows. Fresh American fighters slipped into position as others peeled away to refuel. The ladder of altitude never broke. A veteran Zero tried to drag a Hellcat into a dogfight, but the American refused, climbed, reversed, ended it in 3 seconds. No celebration on the radio. Just a new heading and a fuel check. By late morning, the third wave was inbound. This one was even greener. Formations split at the edges the moment American guns spoke. Commanders shouted for cohesion, but watched their lines unravel anyway. Oil and fuel slicked the sea, and parachutes drifted down, some opened too late, some not at all. Numbers told the story. American pilots had over 300 hours of flight time. Japanese pilots sometimes had less than 50. American carriers had radar that could see the attack coming, and direct fighters to strike from the Sunday. American factories built thousands of planes a month. Japanese factories struggled just to keep up. The Hellcat was not a legend. It was just a reliable part of a reliable system. In the afternoon, a fourth wave arrived, smaller, desperate, filled with trainers, old bombers, anything that could carry a weapon. It made no difference. The American defense never lost rhythm. Intercepts high, attacks short. The curtain stayed up. In the Japanese radar room, there were no more pencil circles to draw. By mid-afternoon, the fight was over. The ocean reflected a pale sky and streaks of oil. Life rafts bobbed on the water. The American carriers turned into the wind to bring their fighters home. Pilots climbed down slow, exhausted, not excited. The numbers passed in low voices, Nearly 400 Japanese planes shot down. Less than 30 American losses. The ratio felt impossible until you remembered how the day had really worked. This was the moment the Zero stopped being a legend and became a memory. Not because it was a bad plane, but because war had changed. It wasn't about aces and dogfights anymore. It was about altitude, radar, training, and math. The side with the system would own the sky. Night fell over the Marianas. A young Japanese operator cleaned the radar scope more for his nerves than the glass. That morning, he had watched a wall of blips build. By noon, he watched the screen go empty. Someone asked again, "Where did they go?" The officer just said, "They didn't go anywhere. They were taken." In the weeks that followed, American carriers sailed wherever they wanted. The road to Saipan, Guam, Tinian, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, wide open. When the war ended, American fighters circled above Tokyo Bay as Japan surrendered. The Hellcat did not ask for credit. It just did its job. Act, the 19th of June, 1944, was not an accident. It was a test skill and courage on both sides, but only one had radar, fuel, hours, and factories. That's why 400 planes vanished. The sky did not lose them. A system did.